That's the kind of stuff that, see, what happens is we're living now in a digital world. Years and years ago, I don't know if anyone caught the episode of Rod Serling with the old woman that is going to pass away, and she keeps getting these telephone calls. The phone keeps ringing, and what it is her husband, who passed away, is telling her from the other side, "Sweetheart, I love you. Don't be afraid to pass. It's a beautiful place. It's okay. You're going to go home, and it's okay." And she, after a while, she didn't want to pick up the phone. And in the end, she passes away. In those days, the 50s, the 60s, it wasn't, very computerized. It wasn't there was nothing digital. There was nothing that the spirit world could, they couldn't get through to us except throwing things around the room. Now they can switch the clock around. They can do weird things like that. Has anyone had any kind of strange experiences like that with kind of poltergeist experiences? Energy, things moving around the room or anything like that? You have? Okay. Great. All righty. You want to turn around here?
Hi, I'm Valerie from Pleasant Plains.
Hi, Valerie from Pleasant Plains.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Shortly after my father had passed away in 2004. Sure. Shortly after my father passed away in 2004, I had been driving to a site in Bergen and parking my car, and all of a sudden I started to hear voices, and I had no idea what was going on. There was no one in the car with me, no one around the car at all, and I'm like, where could this possibly be? I started to get nervous, and then all of a sudden I got very calm. And I went to the trunk of my car, actually, and I had transistor radios from my father. And the transistor radio, which had no batteries in it, turned itself on and was playing the Yankee ball game, which was my father's favorite team. So I just knew he was there with me.
Wow.
It was really freaky,
How did it make
actually.
you feel that you knew he was there with you?
At first, it scared the heck out of me, but then after that, it was very comforting to know that they were still with me, the people who had passed. I find that very, very comforting.
That's what it's all about. See, they want us to know they're there. We're not alone. They may appear to not be here in physical, but believe you me, they're here.
No, and he doesn't go away. He lets us know he's here.
Thank you. Okay. See, what happens is when you first get these kind of experiences, they're very scary. But then after a while, you realize that there's a reason why this is happening. And the major reason is to know we never die. Even that word, death. I'm going to just do this to you. I'm going to fan you all because I want you to feel that wind. Okay, that wind is death. That's when you pass. That's just what it is. It's just like you blow. It's just like passing from one place to another, and that's as simple and as sweet as it is. My goal today is to get everyone to understand that you're really not this body. This body is an envelope for this million-year-old spirit that has lived before, will live again, and never dies. Okay. Now, many people ask me what I experience when I see an apparition, okay? They've said, well, supposing you see a ghost, you see a spirit. Now, I was in the car one day with my producer. We're driving through Richmond Town, which for those of you that don't know anything about Staten Island, Richmond Town must be, I think the sign says built in 1654 or something. The bridge you drive over is from 1654. Every time I drive over that bridge, I go like this, God, please, And every time I drive through Richmond Town, these old houses, I will see someone looking out the window or standing outside, and, they're picking up hay. I mean, to me, it's as if it's the same time period. In any event, I said to her, oh, look, there's a guy over there named Sam. And he's telling me, his wife is having a baby, but she's very ill, and they don't, they don't know what to do, and they don't have, everything is so primitive, and they don't know how to fix her. And he wishes he lived back in England, where they're from, where they could, maybe the baby's going to die. And what I get when I see a ghost or a spirit is I get a feeling, I might even get a chill up my back. I know a lot of you may have had that experience of getting a chill up your back. I hear things, I smell things. It's like all my senses are very heightened, kind of a thing. When my father passed away, which was about 2 years ago, I had all his stuff was collected, given to me, and I put it away in a room in my house. Well, one of the clocks that he had in his room, he liked mechanical things. It was a retro clock. It was like the clocks they had on, you know, the light that was on the bikes from the 1950s. Nobody here is, you're all too young for that, so you wouldn't know, right? Nobody knows. You know, like from Leave It to Beaver, you know, the little headlight. So this was like made into a clock. And one of my friends said to me, keep that in a place where you can get to it. That's going to be important. And the person that said that to me was my teacher. So all the other stuff I packed away and then I left out on a shelf. Well, constantly this thing with this alarm was going off. And I would run upstairs no matter what I was doing, even if I was like outside the door, and I would stand there by this stupid clock, and my father would give me all these messages. And it was just the most eeriest thing. And there was some things that I had to take care of, you know, for him, some personal family matters. And when the family matters were all resolved, the clock stopped ringing. And my father stopped giving me the messages, which was over a period of 2 years. It was like the clock stopped like 2 days after all of the stuff was resolved. It was amazing. Spirit is alive and well in all of us. You can even do you ever hear of astral projection? You can even project your spirit to someone else. In other words, let's say you have a sick relative in another country or another state, and you want to comfort them. So you can send them your higher self. You can send your spirit out, and you can send a healing to them. And then call them the next day and say, you know, look at the clock when you do it and say, did you notice anything at 8 o'clock? Did you feel anything? And they might say something to you like, yeah, I felt hopeful, or I felt good, or I felt something like alive in me. So try that and see what happens. Now, another really strange thing happened to me, which I'm just going to tell you briefly about in this show, and I'm going to talk about more in another one, is a man was shot in a gas station. And I did not know that he was shot. But when I went to get gas the next day in the morning, I was overcome with upsetment. I was hysterical crying. My husband was didn't know how to console me. I bolted out of the car. I was banging on the door where I thought he was, laying there dead. It turns out that the owner of the gas station, who knew me, he couldn't console me. They had to open it up, and you could see the blood spot there. And he said, that man you're talking about was shot at 3 o'clock in the morning last night. On the next show, I'm going to talk more about exactly what happened. But things like that happened to me. And I can literally go through the whole event of the death, how they felt. But the purpose of this is not, for sensationalism, not to say that I'm this incredible healer or psychic, because all of you are psychic, and all of you are healers. And everyone out in the, all my viewers are psychic and are healers. It's just you may not be using your gift. You might be afraid of it. You all came in here today with your spirit guides and protectors, your guardian angels, relatives that have passed away that are protecting you, but you don't see them. You see, the difference is I see them. Why? Anyone in this room have any idea where I see them, or maybe you don't? Anybody want to take a stab at that one?